r/AskReddit. Lawyers. What's in all that isn't real, that normal people insist exists? In the UK, people often claim that if an item is listed for sale in a shop, then the shop legally has to sell it to you at that price. This is not true at all, as the shop doesn't have to sell you anything at any price. Often as a gesture of goodwill, shops will honor erroneous prices, but they are under absolutely no obligation to do so. Back when I had a goldfish, RIP Carol, I went to Pets at Home to buy him a bigger tank. It rang through at £0. 00. Checkout girl raises an eyebrow. We share a laugh. She messes about with the system a bit more, but all she gets is £0. 00. So she calls her supervisor. We wait a few minutes. A few more. The queue is building behind me. Eventually she shrugs, prints a receipt for £0. 00 and sends me on my way with my free fish tank. Good day for me and Carol. I was at a TJ Maximum, or similar, once and found a bunch of jars of orange honey, clover honey, and the like for $1 a pop. Absolute steal. So I grabbed one and take it up front. It rang up for $1,000. The cashier and I gawked at it, laughed, and she said something must have been entered wrong in the system. She punched in $1 and then only asked that I not abuse their return system. Probate attorney here. I've heard many people ask me when the reading of the will is going to take place. I explain to them that only happens in movies, but one of these days I'm going to have one and hire a mysterious blonde wearing a veil to sit in the corner quietly. Then I'll tell everyone that she inherits everything, provided, of course, that she must adopt the decedent's cute but troublemaking 6-year-old child no one knew about, or she can spend the night in a haunted house. Her choice. That commercial use of a photograph means selling the photograph. Commercial use means that there is an implied endorsement. You can take and sell photos of Eric Clapton all day long. Put that same photo in an advertisement for a certain guitar without a release and you can be sued. There is a big problem now with that on YouTube and Bitcoin. My father, who is a lawyer, policemen cannot lie to you. This is false. They can and they do. Edit. There's so many replies that I cannot even find some of the ones I'd like to respond to, so I want to leave a general note for those who have asked for a reference. Frazier vs. Cupp is the Supreme Court ruling that affirmed the legality of deceptive interrogation tactics in 1969. The ruling is still active. I heard you were smuggling animals. What are you? A cop? You know where I can cop some pangolin? People that think it's illegal to be videotaped in a public space. I saw someone on Nextdoor complaining about my reasonable right to privacy in a public place when someone was shaming 20 people standing together waiting for takeout. Sorry, that's the opposite of how it works. If big time celebrities can't stop paparazzi from following them and their family 24/7, I have no clue why ordinary people believe that they have the right not to be caught on camera in public. I'm honestly surprised that more celebrities don't hire people to follow the paparazzi themselves around and make their life as annoying as possible. Things like standing in front of their shots or following them to the doctor's office and then demanding to know why they were there. I'd 100% watch a TV show where especially obnoxious paparazzi were followed around for months and harassed in the same way they harass others now. But here's one that bounces around legal advice every couple months. The age of majority in Mississippi is 21. So people say your parents control your life until then, and you can't move out without permission until you are 21. The truth is that the law means they have an obligation to provide for you until you are 21. You can move out at 18 and not face any penalty or be forced to return. Although the age for Mississippi emancipation is officially 21, This only refers to emancipation from a parent's obligation to support their young adult financially. In Mississippi, individuals age 18 and older may vote, enter into legal contracts, take legal action against others, and be sued for damages. Similarly, an individual age 18 or older who moves out of his parents' home is not considered a runaway in Mississippi and is not legally required to return to the family home. Sovereign citizen stuff. I feel like enough folks have claimed to be sovereign citizens that it's become normal. But no. Generally you can't declare yourself exempt from the laws in effect where you are. My first job while in school was as a law clerk was to respond to pro se writs of habeas corpus from prisoners. One of the first ones I was given was to respond to a guy that claimed he was falsely imprisoned because he had sovereign immunity. He had changed his name to Jesus Christ and claimed that because he was a sovereign, he was not subject to our laws anymore and needed to be released. I remember being very flummoxed on how to respond. I spent entirely too much time on that reply. This feels like the kind of thing they would hand to someone as a prank/hazing. Oh loony Jesus is locked up again. Let's give that one to the new clerk to break him/her in. An arrest isn't magically invalidated if the police don't read you your rights on the spot. There could be a whole thread of just misconceptions people have from watching cop TV. Miranda rights protect you from self-incrimination when being questioned by the police for a crime. It doesn't mean they have to Miranda you the second you get arrested. If you aren't questioned, then it doesn't apply. People also think it's illegal not to let them make a phone call after being arrested. Came here to mention the one phone call misconception. They don't have to let you call anyone, as long as they give you reasonable access to a lawyer. That's why I love in The Dark Knight, when the Joker says I want my phone call, and the cop ignores him. Because that's exactly what they would do. Not American. But why can they do this? Why can't you at least inform your spouse or something that you're alive? Or, at least, if they are afraid you tell them something you are not supposed to, tell them themselves. Situation dependent. Example, if you're in for interrogation, they don't want you calling your spouse who is really your co-conspirator, so you can tell them you're okay, which is code for flush the drugs and flee the drop house. As a former lawyer, UK, I lost count of the amount of people that thought jaywalking was a crime. Unless it's a road that specifically states no pedestrians or a motorway, no such offense exists here. Edit. To clarify, I am talking about it not being a crime in the UK. It may well be elsewhere, Australia, USA, Germany and others. Too much American media. It technically is a crime in America, so people think it applies in other places. Even in America. That is on a state level. In some states, it is just on a city level. In California, it's not illegal to discuss your wages with your co-workers, despite what your boss might say. Edit. I'm a lawyer in California. I assume it's the same in the other 49 states, but don't want to speculate. It's actually illegal nationally for a company to retaliate for discussing wages. They typically just make up some other bullshit reason to fire you instead. Make up some other bullshit reason to fire you for no reason at all, as California is an at-will employment state. Even though many people think so, there has actually never been a Danish law allowing you to beat up a Swede with a stick if he should walk across the ice on Øresund during winter. But, even though the law has never existed, it doesn't mean it shouldn't. No jury would convict you. This isn't exactly what you're asking for, but I think it's valuable for people to know. You do not need to wait 24 hours to report someone as missing. I would hope not, since every cop drama I've ever watched says the first 48 hours are the most important. If someone has to wait 24 hours, they lost 24 hours of that 48. The crazy thing is that they say it on actual true crime shows, like. Don't spread that misinformation. I've heard stories of misinformed cops repeating that information. Not quite on point. A lot of people don't understand that co-signing a loan means that you are on the hook for the loan as much as the other person. The car gets repoed, and then they are shocked that their wages are getting garnished. Co-signing is not you saying you think your friend is a cool dude who is good for it. You are saying you will pay for it if they don't. And they want you on the hook because they think there is a good chance the main applicant is a deadbeat. Basically, don't cosign shit for anybody. That's why I prefer the term guarantor. Because you guarantee that you'll pay if the other person can't. It's a law that exists, but widely misunderstood, is the concept of entrapment. If the police put a bait vehicle in a high crime area, that is not entrapment. If the police are watching a bar known to overserve to see if there are impaired drivers at the end of the night, that is not entrapment. Entrapment only occurs when a gov agent suggests committing a crime that you were not otherwise going to commit. You can go 10 over the speed limit. My dad thought this was true as he was new to the country and quickly found out by a speeding ticket that it was not. Edit. I'm now realizing that may vary from state to state and county to county. For my case, South Florida generally tolerates 10 over, but is still technically illegal. This comes from the margin of error of speed radars. They have a 5-mile margin of error normally, and thus people feel it's safe to go 5 over. If you're only going 5 over and get a ticket, you should contest it and make sure to ask when the gun was last calibrated. I'm no lawyer, but I don't feel like most of the villains in Scooby-Doo committed any actual crime. I don't think it's against the law to put on a mask and scare some trespassers on your own property. What if there's an abandoned gold mine underneath it? I think it would still belong to the property owner. What if the entrance to the mine is on somebody else's property, but the gold is under yours? Dig a new shaft. In the UK, that it is illegal to drink under the age of 18. You can buy alcohol with a meal at 16, beer, wine, cider, and you are not breaking any laws if you give your child some alcohol in the privacy of your own home and they are over the age of 5. Edit. At 16 you have to be accompanied by an adult and it is paid for by the adult. Thanks you /Kellisk. Good Samaritan laws aren't nearly as broad as people think. For context, I work in emergency services. Some people believe that I was trying to help are the magic words that can get them out of any sticky situation. Edit. Good Sam laws vary by country and state, and the medical examples are a little more black and white than others. Adding a non-medical example of what I'm talking about, imagine you're driving your car and notice someone on the side of the road who needs help. As you swerve off the road to provide assistance to this person in need, you incidentally run over a child on the sidewalk. After the situation is over, you're definitely not free from the consequences of running over the child with your car just because you had good intentions of helping someone else. Versions of that story have occurred, and the drivers have tried to use a Good Samaritan defense because they meant well. There is absolutely some gray area on the subject, but if your unprompted action undoubtedly makes the situation worse than if you'd done nothing, having good intentions is not a get out of jail free card, and a bunch of people don't understand that concept. If you live together for X period of time, you're automatically legally married. There are different time periods for different purposes, and being common law doesn't always have the same effect as being married. So for example, your employer might give your partner spousal benefits after 1 year, but division of property laws might only apply after 3. And all of this varies from one place to another. Some places don't have division of property laws for common law spouses. For example, in the US, only 8 out of 50 states have any form of common law, and most of them require more than just cohabitation. You have to actually present yourself as a married couple. The sheer number of times I've heard someone say we are common law in New York City is absurd, considering New York abolished common law marriage in 1933. I'm not driving. I'm traveling. No laws against driving barefoot. Mandatory addition in the US. In Germany, while appropriate footwear is not directly required, you can be found at fault if your choice of footwear or lack thereof leads to your inability to avert an accident. I believe it's the same in Australia. If you have an accident whilst wearing flip-flops, you might struggle with insurance to prove that wearing them didn't cause or add to the causing of the accident. Paralegal. A lot of people think that the law requires you to be a good, decent person. If I'm sitting on a bench and see a blind person about to walk into the path of a bus, it's completely legal for me, in the United States, to remain silent. Take my cell phone out and take a video of his death. It's even legal for me to profit from the video. I'd be a monster for doing it, but there's no law imposing a duty on me to tell this stranger, watch out for that bus. You should never tell a blind guy to watch out for a bus. Listen out for that bus. I'm not sure if this would technically be a law or not, but the way tax brackets work, I've repeatedly heard people in retail or construction say something to the effect of, I'm going to turn down this shift because if I take it, I'll go up into the next tax bracket and so will pay more in extra taxes than I will earn from taking the shift. The tax system is specifically designed not to do this. Here's an example of how tax brackets actually work. Say there is a tax bracket at $10,000. The rate below $10,000 is 5% and the rate above $10,000 is 10%. People seem to think that if they earn $9,999, they will pay 5% of that, $499.95 in taxes, but that if they earn $10,001, they will pay 10% of that, $1,000.10 in taxes. How it actually works is that you pay 5% on the first $10,000 and 10% only on the dollars above $10,000. If you earn $9,999, you pay $499.95. But if you earn $10,001, you will pay $500.10. You earned an additional $2 and paid an additional $0.15 in taxes. 5 cents on the $10 and 10 cents on the $10 first dollar. Of course, there are all sorts of weird interactions between taxes and government programs, especially when someone is receiving certain government benefits. It is totally possible for each dollar you earn to be taxed back 1 for 1, or worse. In that case there is a genuine disincentive to work more hours. But for a normal worker thinking about how many hours they can work before they end up in a higher tax bracket, you will never earn less by working more. So just work as much as you like. Edit. Typo. U.S. Ex-lawyer here. There is no law that requires the police to provide you with their name and badge number when asked. There may be internal policies, but it's not the law. There is also no law that requires the police to get a supervisor if demanded. Again, policy vs law. There is no law that allows you to question whether an order given by the police is lawful or not. A court has to decide if the order was lawful after the fact. But there are laws to punish you if you do not comply. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Thanks for the good conversation and gold. Truly honored. Quick updates. Someone pointed out that in New York there is a law that requires cops to ID themselves and have a card, which is fantastic. Thank you for correcting the statement. A lot of folks seem to be concerned that no law meant no rules. So to clarify, a lot of things are actually managed via internal policies. Those policies usually have teeth. So no, the police are not interested in just violating them and losing their jobs, etc. Last note, thanks for the civil discourse. A lot of these threads get reduced to flames quickly, and by far the comments have been productive and thought-provoking. You guys really are awesome. I've tried to respond to questions, and will continue to, as long as you think it's useful. Second edit, since this has come up a lot, I identify as an ex-lawyer, because I do not practice law anymore. Attorneys are admitted to practice law under the rules of the bar in their state bar. I left the state that I was admitted to when I changed careers, and did not maintain the continuing legal education requirements to maintain my standing with the bar in the state that I left. Nor did I seek admission to the bar in my new state. I am technically ineligible to practice until I complete CLEREX and recertify with the bar of my old state. But I have no intention of doing that. So, in short, ex-lawyer. Thanks again. You've reached the end. You're a star. Destroy the subscribe button for more like that.